just been strolling along with your missus and something new and fresh walks past. Can't help but turn your head, can you? Well, you know what? It's the same with sliders. Out with the old and in with the new. Dad, why should we go down this slide? You'll never know how long it took me to animate that. Right then, people, we are back with another set of slippery little sliders. Now, to be fair, the sliders that I've been using, I've been getting on alright with them, but I just felt like we need a little bit of a refresh. And actually, we have changed up a fair amount. Now, I've tested these in just the game going on behind us. What a bloody game that was. And I feel like we've got it down to a bit of a T now. It's feeling good, it's feeling nice, it's feeling freshness. So, let's have a go through them, man. Let's not waste any more time without any more ado. So, basically, sprint speed for us, we ain't moved it. But what we've done for the opposition team, I've been feeling it's a little bit too easy, or maybe they I don't know, it just needed a little bit more of a challenge. Maybe I've just got used to the old set of sliders, so I've upped their sprint speed just slightly. Now what this does means that you kind of setting off your acceleration, things like that, it's not really going to change much, but it's going to stop you from just going toe-to-toe with the defender and just running straight and beating them for pace. In the Man United rebuild that we've put out, there was a couple of times where Højlund and Watkins, when they were running through on goal, I was just thinking, rather than just tapping it in front of me, let's see what it is like when we just go toe-to-toe and we run them. And 9 times out of 10 I beat them, and I just thought, is that realistic? Maybe not. Ollie Watkins isn't known for his blistering plays. Højlund, he's known for more of his acceleration, stopping moving balls and then moving on again. So I've changed it, and I do feel like we've combated that just slightly, which is nice. A little bit more difficult, a little bit more of a challenge. Acceleration going nowhere, but we have upped the shot error. We've also decreased the goalkeeping error a little bit as well, or we've increased the goalkeeping a little bit. And again, it just feels like a little bit more of a challenge. You'll see in some of the gameplays where, like I show where I'm shooting and where I wasn't shooting. That was when I'd upped it to like 70 odd. I feel like 66. Yeah, 66 is a good way to go for both user and CPU. Now, pass error has gone up a little bit, but it's not going up too much, and we've got a little bit of discrepancy between the user sliders and the CPU. CPU is going to sit at 58, and the user sliders are going to sit at 59. And like I said, a little bit higher, but in the first couple of games that you're going to see, you'll see that they were zipping balls around, zipping passes around and things like that. It was just way too easy for them. So by changing that and upping it a little bit and bringing us more into the middle, because I had it, our pass error was like up in the 60s. But yeah, bringing them back down so that they're both quite near to each other, it just feels a little bit better. Shot speed, 50 again, it doesn't really need to be changed, but pass speed is going to be set at 40, which I think is a little bit lower than previous, but again, it just gives that realistic feel to the game. And yeah, I just like it when it's not just firing. It's not like a game of pinball. I just like it to be nice, methodical, and every now and again, then you can play that killer ball or that killer pass. And with this 59 pass error, you can still play those killer passes, and I'll show you the gameplay settings in a bit. I still have got manual passes on for most of them, so we'll have a look through that in a second. Injury frequency for user and for CPU is going to be 85 frequency, 25 severity. Obviously lower down on the severity, but I am enjoying this. It does force me to make changes to my team. You get a lot more injuries and things like that, and it's just true to life. Look at Villa this season. We've had like 6 or 7 players out long-term injury. It's not going to be that bad, but it's just going to give you a higher frequency of them. Goalkeeper ability now is going to be at 50, and it's going to be 50 for the CPU as well, which I think is slightly higher, and it does feel right. Again, when we start to get nailed down on our precision shooting, you'll see Madueke's shot in the background there. But when you start to get a feel for this precision shooting, you can score bangers. It doesn't really matter, and it's all just about feeling it. It just does feel a little bit more difficult to get shots on target, which is what I want. I don't want every single shot going on target. Your more powerful ones, the ones that you're going for the top bins at, it's not easy to score them, and it shouldn't be easy to score them, so they shouldn't be happening every single game. But again, once you get down to this kind of precision shooting thing, it does feel a lot better, and it feels a lot more realistic. Marking 51, and I think it's 51 again. Oh no, 53 for the CPU. So 51 for the user, just there, and CPU is going to be 53. Run frequency then, I think this has dropped down quite a bit. Let's have a look. Run frequency. So yeah, it's going to be 30 for the user, 30 for the CPU as well, which has dropped down quite substantially. Not as much change as some other sliders I've looked at, where they've dropped it down quite a lot. Again, I base mine quite often off Mat 10 sliders, which are always absolutely fantastic, but I just put my own little spin on them. And this one, played a couple of games with Villa, and normally Matty Cash and Luca Dean are like right up the other end of the pitch, and that's where I like to sit them, because I've got a kind of a midfield one that drops into the defensive areas, and also your two centre backs, and I like my wing backs to be bombing on. They weren't as much, and I know you can change things when you go into your formation and go into your roles and responsibilities and stuff like that, but this just meant that they were sitting up a little bit further, sitting up a little bit higher, and they did seem to be making a little bit more of those runs. When you come on to line height then, for the user, it's going to be 62, and it's exactly the same for the CPU as well. So line height, again, means how high or low the defensive line is. I tend to change this anyway. I tend to make my teams a little bit more defensive, like low defensive, so that we can spring forward on attacks and kind of really make the counter attack really dangerous. But again, sitting at 62 means that both of the teams sit quite high, but it's still quite difficult to stick the balls in over the top and things like that. Line length, how stretched or compact the team are over the length of the pitch, so top to bottom. Again, quite squat, quite small, means that the actual gameplay is all going to be in that kind of midfield area, and there's going to be a little bit of space in behind as well. And again, if I'm a Villa fan, of course, and if you watch a lot of the Villa games, God, we compress the pitch so much. We're most of the time playing on the halfway line, say, and then the team are defending I don't know, a good couple of yards in front of their 18-yard box, so it is quite squat. There's not a lot of time and space to be doing things, which means balls into kind of wide areas or little dink balls over the top are quite useful, but we'll see the difficulty around those in a little bit of time. Line width, sorry, how stretched or compact the teams are. Again, keeping it quite kind of neutral. 48 is pretty standard for what you'd be looking at, and I'm pretty sure it is exactly the same over here. Yes, of course it is 48 as well. So again, the width of the pitch, quite squat still, but quite neutral, to be honest. It feels right for me. Fullback positioning then, 82, and this is what I meant when I talked about earlier, that run frequency, getting them up and down and making them actually make the runs is a little bit lower, because we've really changed this kind of fullback positioning, the 82, how far up they will push, and again, I particularly like this. This is one of those ones that you could probably change. 82 seems realistically quite high, but actually it's working for me at the minute. And then last and not at all least is going to be first touch control. We've upped this a little bit, again makes the game a little bit slower, a little bit more methodical, but I think some other sliders are saying like 75 or 78, something like that. I'm sticking with 68 for both user and for CPU. I think it works quite well. There's a couple of times when balls are miscontrolled in the midfield area and we're able to nick the balls off, but it's exactly the same for us. If I'm firing a ball into my centre forward, unless he's kind of Lukaku, you wouldn't expect the ball to be bouncing back to you every single time. But the only times that it is bouncing back to me, what like it feels, is if you're absolutely firing stuff into him or firing things into him at weird angles. So I play this ball where I'm kind of in my right back or left back position, just in front of the halfway line, and I try and use that diagonal ball to kind of play the ball over the defender's head or into feet for my strikers. And sometimes it works out perfectly well, and sometimes if I'm not sprinting or using directional buttons, they do bring it down. But with this, it kind of feels a little bit more natural, a little bit more realistic, rather than it just sticking to his foot every single time. So that is the sliders. Kind of a little bit of a quicker rundown than normal, but again, by now you know what kind of sliders I like. You know what kind of sliders you like as well. So we're just using these as a bit of an update, aren't we? Of course we are. But going on to gameplay, I haven't changed this, I haven't moved it. So if you know what it was from last time, go ahead and go and get these sliders sorted for yourself. But if you want to stick around to have a little bit of a look at them, I'm going to go for it right now. So we go with competitive preset, then shot assistance, precision. Has to be precision. I tell ya, since I switched to precision shooting, my goals have gone from average to absolutely incredible. And yeah, it's a little bit more few and far between, but isn't that what you want? You want them special moments to be special moments. You don't want them to happen every single game. And honestly, precision shooting, it can give you some very, very embarrassing shots. But also, you can see at the back there, and Kunku scoring one-on-ones. It's not that it's just going to ruin your shooting completely, but actually, it just means that the special moments, the special shots, them times when you just catch the ball right and you see it flying in, well, that's what you're getting in FIFA now, and that's exactly what I want. I want that kind of semi-realistic kind of nature of scoring bangers. I don't just want it to be, I scored one of them 2 games ago, I scored them 3 games ago. Nah, I want them like, I don't know, once, twice, 3 times a season. That's what I'm looking for. Right then, passing. Through ball assistance, manual. I like this. This is, for me, just a bit of a difficulty change. It just makes it a little bit harder for me, and I like this. When I'm kind of slotting balls through to strikers and things like that, when I'm using kind of semi assisted nowadays, it just don't feel right. I just don't feel like I'm playing the game to its true kind of ability. It just, for me, it feels like I'm cheating a little bit. So manual is feeling good. Lob through pass, to be honest, could I change that? I could change it, but like I said, the sliders that I've been using the last couple of games I've enjoyed, so actually I'm going to keep it on semi. Same with ground pass, same with cross assistance. All of those kind of feel a little bit too hard, especially cross assistance. The semi-assisted, you need to hold the square to wherever you want it to go. I think that's about as difficult as it needs to be when you're looking at kind of like aiming, because you still have to aim, but when you're having to look at where you're aiming to and not getting that whip on the crosses, I don't know, it just feels a little bit too it feels a little bit too difficult. Lob through pass assistance though, lob pass assistance, I'm going to keep it at manual. You know what I'm like with my long kind of diagonal balls and things like that. I friggin' love them. Cannot get enough of long diagonal passes and things like that. And still, even with this being on manual, I'm being able to absolutely spray balls, but spray balls with the right sorts of people. And that's the biggest thing. People who are telling me, oh, I can't play a long pass like you, blah, blah, blah. Well, I can't play a long pass like me if I'm using I don't know, Varane. But when you go and use someone like Becca or you use someone like Marcel Ruiz, Tyler Morton, tell you what, even one of the defenders that I've used recently that I'm actually really surprised about was Harry Maguire. The geezer has got a spray on him and a half. So again, you have to kind of pick and choose who you're using. I know there's that centre-back Schurz. He's another fantastic passing option. So what you need to look at is types of players who you're using rather than these presets and these difficulties. It's the type of player that you want to be looking at. Pass receiver lock being on late for me has been the nicest one, but again, precision pass sensitivity high. I don't really tend to use this quite as often as I probably should do, but I do use it, and I like the high sensitivity of it. When I tell it to move somewhere, it will move somewhere right away, but you have to consider what you're doing, where you're doing it. You've kind of got to have a bit of an idea of where you want to play the ball, and also you've got to have a little bit of space to play that ball as well, because if you're trying to use one of these passes where it's going to be like a second or something until someone tackles you, then you need to start to think about at what times you're going to be using these things, because you do need a little bit more time to pick and choose where this ball's going to go. Defending, going to be directional. Classic, I hate. So directional is one of them things. And again, from corners, heading things away, it's always something that I use to start attacks and things like that. So directional for me works pretty well. Defending, always going to be on tactical. Yeah, for me, tactical defending is just a better one to use. So we're leaving it on that one. Block assistant, pass block assistance on. I've used this off as well. It just doesn't. It doesn't feel right for me, and I don't think it matters too much. But for me, it just works better. And the rest of them, you'll see them on the screen here. The rest of them you'll see on the screen here. Auto switching, move assistance. All of this I just leave now. It's one of them things that until someone tells me to stop or to change something. And again, I've talked about this before, but orbit dribbling, I was told by TikTok to turn it off. I've turned it off. So yeah, so that's everything in terms of sliders and gameplay settings as well. Quick one for the camera then. Single player, that's obviously the only one that we're using really, is legacy, and then height is 16, zoom is 3, far focus is 9, and then ball tracking 0, penalty area zoom on 3, and that's it. So there you go, geezers. That is what we're using. That's a little bit of a refresh for you. And I'm thinking it feels a little bit fresher, a little bit nicer, but it still has the aspects that we like from the previous one. So again, as I always say, let me know how you get on with these. Make sure that you've subscribed if this is your first time around these parts. Make sure that you go and have a look at my career mode videos as well. We've just finished the Mansfield Town career, and oh my god, some magic moments, some goals, just a little bit of everything you want from a career mode, to be honest. And make sure that you dropped a like on this video. I do come back with sliders every now and again. I know I've been lacking on them. I'm sorry. Things have got in the life's got in the way, man. But I'm back. I'm out and about. Do you know what I mean? So we are back with a new set of sliders. So as always, geezers, it's much love from me. I'll see ya very soon. Well, this weekend actually for a Man United rebuild. But it's much love from me. I will see you in a bit, and peace.